Then we've learned that this man supposedly is a former Marine. I don't know what his motivation was. We'll wait to hear. There's speculation. What is with these guys? Because there was another one on Saturday night. Was that in South Carolina, North Carolina, near, it's like right on the border of those two states? I think it was technically in North Carolina, I think. And that guy has a military background. I think he was a sniper. What is going on here, folks? Don't you find it odd that we have two shootings by two former military in the same weekend? Are these random? Or is someone pulling their strings? You know, it's crazy we even have to ask those kind of questions. But don't forget about the CIA. Don't forget about the CIA and their MK Ultra plans and brainwashing, how they have used people for their agenda. I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but that's a legitimate question. We know they used the media. We know they were involved in brainwashing programs. So horrific that there's been detailed documentaries on them. It's not conspiracy. We have to come back to a couple things. Remember the Hegelian dialectic, thesis and antithesis, idea, opposite idea. Pitting one group against another, one set of values against another, worldview against another. This is so crucial to their war. But what they have done, the globalist, the cultural Marxist, whichever group you want to, I mean, they're all working together. They've caused us to not trust our once respected institutions, like the FBI, right? No informed, discerning American trusts the FBI. Even former FBI don't trust the FBI. Remember the 4 high-ranking FBI agents that we had here on the ground for our 4 one-hour town hall a couple years ago? They were calling for basically the whole thing to be stripped down to the foundation and rebuilt back up again. We had FBI agents, thankfully under Kash Patel, they lost their job, but about a dozen of them kneeling, taking a knee in honor of the communist, anti-American Black Lives Matter movement. Remember one of their founders saying, "We are trained Marxists." Who trusts the FBI today? You really think it's been cleaned out? Most people don't trust the FBI. We saw what they did to President Trump when he was running, when he was president, his first term. And now conservatives, by and large, their natural base for support doesn't trust most of them. How many of us trust the military? Do you trust the military? I'm not attacking all military members, but the leadership of the military. Do you trust the leadership of the U.S. military? Do you trust the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Milley? I want to understand white rage, he said. The former Joint Chief after that, who was into complete DEI, cultural Marxism, race baiting. We've detailed his what appears to be reverse racism. There's a cancer inside the Department of now War. You really think this bureaucracy has been cleaned out? I don't know. I guess there's going to be a meeting tomorrow with a bunch of generals and admirals. I don't know what that's all about. I guess we'll try to find out. But isn't that interesting? The natural base of the Pentagon, the military, the natural base of Americans supporting the FBI, most of us don't trust the military leadership. We don't trust the FBI. You see, they did the long march through the institutions, as Herbert Marcuse of the Frankfurt School said they were going to do. And now most of us thinking Americans, we don't trust these institutions. The left doesn't trust them, even though now the left has infiltrated them. And now we have people who have been in the MAGA movement, the America First movement, being divided over Israel. I'm tired. I am so tired at so many levels. Are you not, my friends? Are you not tired mentally from all of the constant things you're seeing that are outside the norm and that are ridiculous, like the hatred of Christians that support Israel, the hatred of Jews, the hatred of Zionists, people that I used to interview, I can't interview anymore because the stuff I'm seeing them post on social media is so over the top, unhinged about Zionist. Remind you, a Zionist is someone who just simply believes in the right, the historical right of the Jews to the land. I'm a biblical Zionist. I believe in their historical and their biblical right to the land. This is dividing the MAGA movement. Now, today, we see people fighting in the America First MAGA movement with each other over the attack of the church in Michigan, the Mormon church. I have a Mormon friend of mine, and I've taught extensively on Mormonism, that what is the worldview, the theology, the doctrine of Mormonism that is not in accord with the Bible. But I have Mormon friends. They know where I stand. I know where they stand. I reached out to one of them yesterday, and I simply said, I am sorry for the loss of life and the murder of Americans at that church. I don't have to agree, and I don't agree with Mormon theology and doctrine. But I can show sympathy for the loss of life and murder and try to be a good witness to my Mormon friends and sending condolences, right? Now, some are saying there's been an attack on Christianity. This was an attack on Christianity. And so people are going on social media saying, but wait a minute, Mormonism is not Christianity. Okay. If you're talking about biblical Christianity, historic Christianity, there is a huge difference between the doctrine of biblical Christianity and Mormonism. Yes. And I am not disagreeing with people that are pointing out these differences. But what I am saying is I find it very interesting that the America First movement has a lot of Mormons in it. And now we have Israel, the Jews that are being used as a dividing point, the Zionists. Now we have the Mormons being used as a dividing point. And people are fighting. And again, there's every right to disagree and talk about these issues. I'm just telling you from a standpoint of how you bring down a coalition, you get them fighting. Whether what they're arguing about is right or wrong isn't what I'm discussing here, because it is fine and appropriate to argue the difference between biblical Christianity and Mormonism and the Book of Mormons and Joseph Smith, etc. That's appropriate. But what I'm saying to you is I find it very interesting that the MAGA movement, America First movement, is filled with a lot of Mormons. And now we have a battle raging on social media. And I saw today where people are at each other. They're at each other over Mormonism. They're at each other over the Jews. And now we see more and more people being suspect of the military, active and retired. What's the point I'm making? I believe there is a concerted effort to divide Americans who say we don't agree on all things, but we can agree on a lot of things, and we're not going to have an interfaith dialogue. We're not going to have a theological kumbaya. We're going to agree to disagree on those things, and we're going to unite under public policy for the right of freedom of speech, freedom of religion, parental authority, national sovereignty. And it seems as though there's a concerted effort to make sure that any group, any faction inside the America First group and movement turn on each other, fight each other. So is it just me, or do you find this kind of interesting timing? That two shooters killing innocent people this weekend, former military. Is it post-traumatic stress syndrome? Is it psychotropics? I don't know what it's about. But what I know is this is wearing everyone down, and it goes back to what I told you guys about right after Charlie Kirk. Chaos, calm, chaos, calm, chaos, calm. And a psychological process. Now we have troops going into Portland. And we have the governor of Oregon saying we don't need it here, we don't want it here. Well, again, I'm going to go back to what I said before. If the president's going to do these things, he needs to do it in a manner that's not on social media, but he needs to do it, I believe, from the Oval Office with documentation. I can provide him with this information. Trevor Loudon can provide him with this documentation. We can provide him with the information that shows that Antifa, Black Lives Matter, these groups are tied back to the CCP, enemies foreign, enemies domestic, working together. He needs to make the case, why are we using the military again? Because it's international drug cartels, it's the CCP, it's a military standing army that's being used in the country. And he needs to quote the Constitution. He needs to talk about the Constitution. He needs to talk about, I'm using the military to deal with terrorist groups, but let's not be confused. The next president should not come in here and justify using military on the streets of America because the Christian and the conservative has now been defined as the terrorist. You see, these are dangerous times and precedents being set without full foundational constitutional thinking. We have a big announcement, folks. It's called Bella Melt. In the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we've talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel.
MelissaHouseBG.com just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 Fast Action. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. All right, I'm going to go to Aaron here. Don't forget our national conference is Friday night and Saturday. And a lot of you are going to be here. It starts at, what time does it start on Friday night? Logan, 6 p.m. And there are no tickets being mailed. You just check in at the door, show your driver's license, and check in at the door, okay? Show your driver's license, check in at the door. Starts at 6 p.m. Central, okay? We'll be done by around 7 p.m. on Saturday night. I think we'd said we were going to go later, but by the time I timed everything out, I think we'd be done by 7 p.m. and then everybody can go to dinner. So Saturday night, we should be done by right around 7 p.m. Central, okay? All the details, worldviewstore.com. Now, if you want to live stream it, you can do that. If you have a Vault membership at any level, full details on that, worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. I'm not planning on being on the air Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Okay, I tell you everybody up front so no one, are you okay? Is he okay? And I appreciate your being concerned, so I don't want to panic anybody. Wednesday, we have our dress rehearsal for our concert banquet. Thursday night, we have the dress rehearsal. We have to set up on Wednesday. We have a lot to do to get ready. And I need to rest my voice. We have a lot of administrative paperwork. We got to cut checks for the speaker and their airfare and hotels and honorariums. There's a lot of book work. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will be off the air, Lord willing, back Monday. Okay? Joining me now is our reporter on the ground in Israel, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. We sent him another love offering today. So if you appreciate Aaron and what he does for us, what he does for you, for all of us collectively, please support our foundation as we give him love offerings regularly to be our broadcast voice on the ground in Israel and to also produce special videos for us. We have another one. We're going to play those tonight, Logan. We'll remember to do that. We have two of them to play tonight. So worldviewfoundation.com. He joins us now. It looks like he's, I don't know, is that, are you on the Temple Mount tonight, Aaron?
Hey, Brandon. No, I'm not. I'm actually in the city of Netanya. It's a Mediterranean coast city about half an hour north of Tel Aviv. They call it the Riviera.
The reason I ask is that the flooring looks similar.
Yeah, it does. You're right. The stones look very similar. And just to show you, there we have the name Netanya from the Hebrew word Natan, which means gift. Yah, the gift. Natan Yah, the gift of Yah. And actually there we have a beautiful yellow ribbon. And that's the symbol that you'll see all over the streets and roads of Israel, like the song Tie a Yellow Ribbon. That's to remind everyone to pray, to think of our captives. And then interestingly, right next to it, there is we call it a sukkah, a booth, because in about another week's time, we are celebrating one of the three great feasts of Israel, the Feast of Tabernacles. So we're commanded to live 7 days in a booth. And so everyone builds a booth, and we go and we invite our neighbors and we invite our friends to live and to come and eat and fellowship and rejoice
in the
before
sukkah.
the Lord.
In your sukkah, right?
Correct, in the sukkah. People, restaurants have them, synagogues have them, homes have them on the rooftops. Wherever you can build them, you'll see them all over the streets, all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite an exciting festival.
And you'll remember in 2023, my Jewish friend here in town who I introduced you to,
yes,
Cheney, she was in her backyard in her sukkah with all of her Israeli friends that were living and working here in the Mid-South in their 20s when all of their phones went off with the attack of October 7th. And if you remember, within about 48 hours, all of them were out of the Mid-South, back in Israel, in uniform, on the front line. They were sitting in a sukkah in her backyard when that incident took place.
Well, we're coming up. Exactly. We're coming up to that time of the year. We're going to be commemorating, remembering, mourning, grieving the second year anniversary. And of course, it happened on our most holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur. And in 2 days' time, we're going to be going into Yom Kippur, where the whole nation closes down. You're not allowed to drive out on the roads. No shops are open. And everyone, pretty much everyone, fasts, prays. Of course, back in the days of the first and the second temples, then you would offer up the red heifer, the sacrifices. But we don't have a temple today. So everyone prays and fasts. The Bible says you're to rend your souls and mourn before the Lord. And Messianic Jews, they also fast and pray as well. But it's more so to pray for our nation, to fast for our nation. And especially with what's going on, Brandon, you know, you mentioned about getting tired, how this wears you down. This war, these negotiations, they talk about wearing you down, a war of attrition. And then, you know, what you mentioned, where people turn against each other. And that's another strategy of Hamas and all of our enemies.
Yeah, and now, as we're talking, I'm looking at a text Senator Ted Cruz has just put out. Why do crazy people keep thinking the Jews are trying to kill them? That is so true. I mean, all these people are like, I'm not suicidal, I'm healthy, I'm fine. I saw one by another guy today, I used to interview all the time, about how the Zionists are trying to kill us. He's like, the Zionists are trying to kill us. I'm like, I'm a Zionist. I'm not trying to kill you or anyone else. I've invited you to our studio. I've been very gracious to you. Why on earth would you say that? Okay, you're not a dumb man. You know I'm a Zionist. You know there are other Zionists and Christian Zionists out here. Why would you do that? Okay, why are you so apparently unhinged? I know some people, in my opinion, have hid their mental illness very well.
Yeah, Brandon, you know, we Jewish people, usually we look for professions like being accountants or lawyers or doctors. Have you ever heard anyone walking down the street and seeing a group of Jewish accountants and say, "Look out, there's some Jewish accountants"? It doesn't happen.
It's just it's like I said, it's meant to divide us as a people, as a movement. You know, people united under this America, let's put America back together concept, you know, and we don't agree on some major issues, but we said, okay, where we agree, we'll unite. Let's stop the common enemy, which is really the federal government, enemies foreign and domestic. And somebody in the shadow government or a group of people are doing a marvelous job at dividing Americans who were making a lot of headway as a coalition. And now I'm watching them accuse one part of the coalition of wanting to murder them. This is just reaching a level of stupidity.
Well, you know, when you think of those words about the Lord, when he said about nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom, that's talking about division. Even families, a man's foes or enemies will be they of his own household. So we're going to see that. And the other thing he said is many shall be offended and will betray one another. We're going to see that as well. These are unbelievably, I think we are heading into just a period that we haven't seen before. And I'll say this again. The Jewish people are being forced either to stay where they're being persecuted or packing their bags and coming back home. And I see, and the numbers are rising. Where I'm standing here in Netanya, really, you know, we call this Paris. Why? Because it's filled with French Jews. Everywhere you go, there's French patisseries, cafeterias, pizza places, and you hear French all around you because the French Jews have packed their bags and they're leaving. It's too dangerous for them. I see this as a real key sign. God not only said that he would scatter his people, but that he would one day bring them back home. We're seeing it right before our eyes. Is this just a political accident? You know, when the Lord says, you see the clouds, you know it's going to rain, don't be hypocrites. When you see these things happening, know that your redemption draws nigh. So we've got to have spiritual eyes, but we've got to know God's word. If we don't know God's word, then we're just going to look at it as just a political accident or a political happening. But we know the scriptures.
And I'm looking at video. A British police officer converts to Islam. Now he's a poster boy for the UK police force. I mean,
wow.
It's just the stupidity is at every level now, 360 all around us. Well, let's talk about this 21-point peace plan draft by President Trump. Here are the bullet points. All hostages freed within 48 hours of an agreement. 2, after hostages return, Israel releases hundreds of Palestinians serving life sentences. Can I just stop right there? Who are these hundreds serving life sentences, many of them? They're terrorists, aren't they?
Well, they're terrorists, Brandon. They're terrorists like remember you interviewed me and Tal about a year ago from Beersheba. She was stabbed. She had all of her ribs broken, her pelvis broken. She was listening to her best friend, Michelle, getting murdered. And so we're talking about people like that got caught, got sent to prison, and they are on the list to be released. It's shocking, but you know what? I said this the other night. Our religion, Judaism, values life more than death. And the value of one human life is worth a lot. So this is the price that our nation is willing to pay, believe it or not.
Okay, but it's not going to bring peace. If you release a bunch of terrorists,
Great days.
what do you think a bunch of terrorists are going to do? They're going to go do terrorism. So what makes someone drafting this 21-point plan think that releasing terrorists is going to bring peace?
And Brannon, what did we do with Yahya Sinwar? When we released him, he was the mastermind behind October the 7th.
Logan.
Look, we could go back and forth on this. One day I'm for it, one day I'm against it. These captives are not my children. If they were my children, I think I'd feel a lot different. But it's a tough decision. But let's not forget that it's not just about releasing our captives. It's about Hamas leaving the Gaza Strip. And that's another key requirement. And I think this is a good thing. The tables have turned a little bit. We are not being dictated the terms to anymore. We are calling some of the shots. And one of those shots is Hamas have to leave the Gaza Strip.
Okay, I want to go to President Trump and Netanyahu speaking when we come back from the break. But one of the ones that really doesn't sit well with me is this one. A temporary transitional government formed, run by an international body in what are basically Palestinian technocrats. Why would we on earth let any of these UN, international globalist, and Palestinian technocrats govern Gaza? I mean, stupid is doing the same thing over and over and think you're going to get a different result. I want you to comment on that when we come back, and we're also going to dip in to the press conference. I don't know. Can we? Can we dip in on Christian radio to the press conference? I don't know. I think we can. Do you think? I guess they'll have to keep their finger on the button because I don't know what President Trump might say. So keep your finger on the button. And we'll try to dip into President Trump and Netanyahu as Aaron is reporting to us tonight, live from Israel, going through this 21-point peace plan that's been given as a draft. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, welcome back. Let's dip in just real quick, see a little bit of what's being said in the White House, real time, Benjamin Netanyahu, President Trump.
Things they can't live.
And we'll go back to Aaron.
Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader. Prabowo, he is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking around. They said, sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific, And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a long time, and there are many cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases they're great men and some great women too. They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons of production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully, as progress is made toward achieving these goals. Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right and actually our full backing, the U.S. full backing. Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here, our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close. But it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer.
All right, let's dump in here.
As you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing.
All right, let's jump in. We've heard enough, I think, to kind of get an idea. What are your thoughts on what you're hearing so far live out of the White House tonight as you're standing in Israel, Aaron?
Well, listen, if we go on past history, Brendan, we know that Hamas are just going to ignore it and reject it. However, I got to, and it's just a feeling based on what I've been reading, the Qataris, they have very strongly said, we are going to make Hamas do it. Now, the Qataris fund Hamas. along with the Iranians. And there may be a different scenario, but here's my concern, Brandon. What about Hamas inside of Judea and Samaria, the West Bank? Because there's still a lot of Hamas operatives in those territories. So, but I know that's a different issue, but it's still Hamas. But let's go back to Gaza. If Trump and the Qataris can pull this off, wow, you know, our captives are going to come home. This is going to be massive for our nation, massive. Bibi Netanyahu, I don't know if he's going to be lifted up on a chair and paraded through the streets, but you know, he'll get a lot of credit for this as well. So there's a lot at stake here. But then, of course, the big question the day after, and that's part of the 21-point plan here, is what's going to happen. And we're talking about years and years and years to come. It's not going to happen overnight. So this could potentially usher in a period that we've been talking about for a long time of peace for Israel and many other nations joining in the Abraham peace accords. You heard Trump talking about Indonesia. What actually concerned me is when Trump was praising some of those people.
Erdogan.
Oh my God.
Erdogan. He called him a good man, a strong man.
Do you know what Erdogan said yesterday, Brandon? He said, we should leave Hamas in the Gaza Strip to continue to be a military resistance against Israel. That's what he said just yesterday.
I bet you Donald Trump doesn't know that. I bet you dollar to donuts, Donald Trump does not know that.
Yeah. Very concerning, but you know, this is what negotiations is all about. We're going to have to compromise somewhere. That's what negotiations are all about. We're going to have to compromise. On the other hand, there will be a lot of people that will be hurting, that will be frustrated, that will be angry, especially the families of those who have been affected by these terrorists, by these people in prisons with blood on their hands, who are going to be released. It's going to open up these terrible wounds and endanger people's lives.
And by the way, the Hamas leaders, I understand, who commit to peace will receive amnesty and safe passage out of Gaza.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of the deal. And Bibi Netanyahu has pledged to not attack any of these leaders in foreign countries, including Qatar. And of course, you heard that Netanyahu made an apology, a public apology to the leaders of Qatar for attacking Hamas on their territory. Trump probably was behind that. But you know what?
Was that the sorry, not sorry apology?
Yeah, probably. Bibi, he sucked it up a little bit. He was appeasing Donald Trump. And you know, why not? What's an apology going to do? It's not going to hurt his ego too much. So these are some of the compromises that are needed.
Now, let me ask you this. What about the temporary transitional government formed by some kind of international body? Now they're talking Tony Blair, the Labor Party, a total Fabian socialist. I mean, we got him bragging that the Labor Party was birthed by the Fabians. These are globalists. They use by their own Fabian window, which Tony Blair himself unveiled when it returned after being stolen. They brag about using chaos to remold the world nearer to the heart's desire. And we're going to give Tony Blair, Mr. Little Antichrist, Jimmy DeYoung had him on the short list of being the Antichrist. I'm not kidding. Oh, yes. He openly talked about it here. He's like, I'm not saying he is, but he's on the short list. I'm sure that's in our archive if Logan wants to find it. But here he is. You know, he was warning then. You guys realize Tony Blair's working behind the scenes to bring a peace deal. You guys remember that, right? He's also working on a one world religion. I mean, this Tony Blair's a little Antichrist. And that's who's going to be in charge of this transitional government. And it's all going to go swimmingly well. Don't you guys worry. Oh, yeah, right.
Well, you know, Brandon, that's what I said. There'll be a time of peace. But, hey, while Donald Trump is sitting in the Oval Office, okay, we've got nothing too much to worry about. Well, what happens when he leaves? What happens if we get another democratic pro-Palestinian leader, we're in big trouble. The door's going to open up for, this liberal democratic government are going to get pressured by the Islamists to appease the poor Palestinian people, and so on and so on and so on.
Also part of it is a recognition of a Palestinian aspirations of statehood.
That's right. This is so. As I said, for now, it's relatively okay, but it's tomorrow. It's our children, our children's children. That's the concerning thing. I hope that BB's got a backup there, and that they've discussed this. That they've discussed potential plans and the potential threats on Israel's border for the future. And by the way, Brandon, this is going to put pressure on BB's coalition, because no doubt there's going to be some people in his coalition, especially right-wing religious, who are not going to be happy with this.
Yeah, apparently, Aaron, we're being told now that the White House has released their proposal, and I guess hidden in here, I've not been able to verify it, but they're saying that the Gaza Strip will not be controlled at all by Israel, and that it will become a terror-free zone, quote, redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza.
So what does that mean, the people of Gaza? Who are going to be the people of Gaza? Because some religious groups in Netanyahu's coalition, they want to annex parts of the Gaza Strip. We pulled out 20 years ago, and
we're being told now. We're being told this plan will neither involve Israel occupying nor annexing Gaza.
So the big question is this people of Gaza? Obviously, they're going to be these people who call themselves Palestinians, but the big question, who is going to be their leaders? That is the key question.
It's going to be some international UN group. Phone lines open, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Phone lines open.
Introducing the Sentry Wellness System, the ultimate under-sink water treatment solution designed with you in mind. Say goodbye to harmful toxins and hello to water enriched with essential nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Enjoy the benefits of increased pH for on-demand alkalinity, all from a zero-waste system that fits seamlessly into your home. Installation is a breeze, taking just 15 minutes, so you can have clean, healthy, great-tasting water straight from your tap. Perfect for apartments, homes, rentals, and even RVs. Elevate your hydration and well-being with the Sentry Wellness System, because you deserve the best in every drop.
Sentry H2O. Tap into wellness.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions. 1-800-347-9829. Let's go to the phone lines. And by the way, who are these people of Gaza? It makes you wonder if they're planning on bringing in a whole nother group of people from somewhere else. I don't know about you, but this to me sounds like, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, mark it, write it down, mark the date and the timestamp. Sounds like a great opportunity for a lot of people to come in there and develop the new Gaza into a resort town and facility. And let's watch where the money flows and where it sloshes around and who ends up with it. Let's go to an anonymous caller, line 1. Hello, anonymous.
Just three points real quick. Wondering if at Charlie Kirk's funeral, if Donald Trump heard the gospel, didn't accept it, God turned him over like Nebuchadnezzar. Is he trying to appease or placate to Turkey to defeat Russia, or what? Why did he turn his back? Is this his turning point Seemed like in the last 10, 15 days, he's really turned his back on Israel, or he blackmailed because he's on where's the Epstein list at? And I'll hang up. Thank you.
Wow, those are great points. I don't know the answer to them. I guess some people are saying he has nothing to do with Epstein. He was actually part of the prosecution. He was tipping. He was a whistleblower. He was working behind the scenes. Others say he was never on the plane. James O'Keefe released a video the other night. Someone from, I guess, inside the DOJ is on record saying now he was not around when anything bad was going on. Others have said that. So that part I don't know. But as far as flipping, I don't know. These are all legitimate questions. Look, I'm even seeing some of President Trump's former supporters on social media saying that their whole development of golf courses and hotels in Qatar is very, very fishy. What other deals? You got Jared Kushner involved. We just heard his name mentioned by the president. I guess, what friends and business people internationally of the Trump family will be in there developing? Maybe none. But we do know what President Trump has said in the past. Who are these people of Gaza that this is for? And as Logan said in my ear, isn't it the people of Gaza that like 80% of them elected Hamas? So I don't know. I have to wonder if they're going to bring in a new group of people. Who's this new group of people? And what do you think about what the caller asked, Aaron?
Yeah, no, they were good points. And like you, I don't know if I know the answer either. And hopefully the investigators will get to the bottom of all these conspiracies and things. But going back to that point, Brandon, about who are these people of Gaza that are going to come in, that is massive point. That is big. That's scary.
Because it may not be the people that are there now. That's the point I'm making.
That's right. And what is it? About 700,000 now have been moved, and maybe a fraction of that 700,000 will come back, and others will the Muslim Brotherhood. Who knows? And like you said, the money, they've got the money, the plans. No doubt about it. These people are going to plot against us, like Erdogan said. It's scary. But you know what, Bibi? He's not silly. He knows, and our intelligence and the Mossad and all that, hopefully they've got a B plan. We're not going to get blindsided again like October 7th. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen.
Jim, line 2. Hi, Jim. Thanks for calling in.
Brandon, before you the callers, one of the last statements was talking. It's like, why are we still funding the United Nations? They have nothing of American interest at their heart except for taking money from us and kicking them out of this country. That's enough already.
Yep. Well, we know from all of the years of research that we've done, you've done, this audience has done, we know what the goals of the UN was all about. It was really founded when their founders was a communist. We know now they're dominated by the red-green axis, the Marxist and the Islamist. And again, I think Israel's setting themselves up. They keep trying to appease the world. They did it with the Temple Mount. That backfired. Every time they turn around, they're trying to think, well, if we make nice, we'll get along. No. And this isn't going to work either. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't think this is going to work. Let's go to, of course, we also know that there has to be an Antichrist figure that shows up and confirms a peace deal. So this just is one more of many deals. Maybe he'll show up and confirm at some point. Let's go to Elaine. I mean, it may last for a little while, but I don't see it lasting indefinitely, obviously. Line 4, Elaine. Thanks for calling in, Elaine.
No, this is Smitty in Burlington.
Oh,
Brandon.
Hey, Smitty. Hey.
Hey, I got a big question for you. You pointed out several months ago, possibly a year ago, that J.D. Vance was Jesuit trained.
No,
So-
I don't know if I have to go back in my notes. I don't know if he was or not. I'd have to go back and check.
Well, I thought I heard it on your program, but here's my question. What if the master plan is to martyr Trump right on the heels of Charlie Kirk and have J.D. Vance step into office and lead us right into the New World Order?
Well, of course, that's speculation, but I will tell you this. There are people that have been saying openly that they will be shocked if President Trump finishes his full term. Yes, that would a lot of folks are out there speculating that as well. I was just kind of looking up on J.D. Vance, the Jesuit thing. Let's see, because I may have said that and just forgot because there's so much out there. But I'll double check and research on that one. Those are good questions. All right, let's go back to the callers. Now I've lost my call screener, Logan. Let's see. Who's on the phone next, guys? Can you tell me? I've got a million. David. Hey, David from Florida. Thanks for calling in, David.
Hey, Brandon, great to talk to you. Hey, question for you. I remember a while back you reported on when President Bush years back started to rule upon a two-state solution. A hurricane came and destroyed his house there. And I know that historically anybody that has tried to divide up God's land, bad things have happened to them. And I'm just wondering, with President Trump saying that he will not allow Israel to annex the quote-unquote West Bank, Samaria and Judea, is that in effect, arousing God's anger and possibly
I think it could be.
Signing our death warrant as a country?
I think it could be, David, and I think you're referring to the book, As America Has Done Unto Israel, by the former federal treasury agent who I've interviewed so many times. Oh, yeah, great call. Great question. I got 15 seconds, Aaron. Go.
Well, yeah, that's a great question, and I don't want to be the judge, but I'll let God's word judge it. And it says that he's going to bring people into the valley of Jehoshaphat, Joel 3:2, because they've scattered my people and they've divided up my land. So people, nations, kings, presidents, be warned.
Yeah, be warned. Aaron, hold right there. Stay tuned for Crosstalk on this terrestrial station you're listening to now. If not, you can join them at vcy.org, vcy.org. We'll have more on this tonight on Brandon House Live. Thanks for watching. Take care. And we're back with WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida, and you here at Worldview Tube. Let's just dip in real quick. Aaron, don't go away if you can hold with us another minute or two. Let's dip in to see what President Trump's saying.
Building peace will not be easy. There are some of the hardest problems in the world to solve, and that's why it's been going on for so many.
Is he still giving his statement, Logan? Has Benjamin Netanyahu spoken yet?
Too many lives are at stake not to try, and this was more than a try. I mean, I think this is something that gets done when you have virtually every country, and these are powerful countries that have a lot of money, and the money can make things happen. A lot of countries try, and they don't have any money. These are very rich countries that can make things happen. So together we'll forge a much safer and more hopeful future for everybody, including Israel. And I want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for his partnership. And I want to thank all of the leaders, the kings and the emirs and the presidents and prime ministers, people I mentioned. And they've been absolutely fantastic to work with. And it's just happened very quickly. It's happened from a couple of weeks before I had a couple of meetings, but a couple of weeks before we went to the United Nations, and we had some incredible meetings. It all came to place. It all took place.
Let me go back to Aaron. Aaron, he's still talking.
I don't have anybody
apparently Benjamin Netanyahu hasn't even had a chance to say anything yet. So I'd like to hear what he's going to say. But he mentioned all those rich nations. What are they going to get out of it? What are they going to get out of it? You always have to follow the money, Aaron.
Exactly, Brandon. Exactly. And when Donald Trump says and has been saying, let's make America great again, a big part of that is the economy and finding jobs and the industry and all of that. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the question is at whose expense? At what cost?
And now we're being told, Aaron, sorry to interrupt, quote, this is from the president. My plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace.
Ooh.
Listen. It'll be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump, end quote. He is appointing himself the head of this new oversight committee. Aaron?
Wow.
Aaron, this is big news. This
is big news.
If Donald Trump wasn't who he is, there'd be a lot of people making a lot of comparisons between him and another individual mentioned in the Bible. Would they not?
Well, I was listening today, Brandon, to when the Lord said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." The previous sentence, the Lord said, you are Peter, and on this confession, on this rock, I will build my church. And then the next second, that same Peter, who was a believer, who was a follower, who got revelation about who Yeshua is and was, then he starts to operate out of a carnal mind, not based on God's word. And, you know, to some degree or another, I actually believe that Donald Trump is a believer to some degree. But just like Peter, who did not have the things of God in mind, we can all be guilty of that. We can be constituted with God's word or constituted with our own philosophy, man-made ideas. And this is what we need to pray for Donald Trump.
Indeed.
That he would have people around him like, the secretary, the ambassador, Mike Huckabee. People like that, feeding God's word into him so that he is motivated and moved by God's word rather than by his own good thoughts and philosophies.
Let's dip in a little bit more here, because now you're Prime Minister speaking. Listen to a little of this. Let me
the impossible.
Go back to it here, guys. Hang on. I think I got it
Just
here.
a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Pass it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If
And neither
Hamas
by
agrees to your
Israel.
plan, Mr.
And
President,
neither by Israel.
the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President.
And let me just jump in here real quick. We're going to let WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida go. We're going to continue coverage here. Thank you to the audience in WROS, Jacksonville, Florida. And we'll go back to Benjamin Netanyahu now.
On all the commitments made, the fact that you're taking this on, I think helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter for the foreseeable future. I think we should understand that we're giving everybody a chance to have this done peacefully, something that will achieve all our war objectives without any further bloodshed. But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres. Mr. President, I was encouraged by your clear statement at the UN against the recognition of a Palestinian state. That would be an outcome that, after October 7th, would reward terrorism, undermine security, and endanger Israel's very existence. As for the Palestinian Authority, I appreciate your firm position that the PA could have no role whatsoever in Gaza without undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. In your 2020 peace plan, which you mentioned just now, you made clear what that transformation requires. It's not lip service. It's not checking a box. It's a fundamental, genuine, and enduring transformation. And that means ending pay to slay, changing the poisonous textbooks that teach hatred to Jews, to Palestinian children, stopping incitement in the media, ending lawfare against Israel at the ICC, the ICJ, recognizing the Jewish state, and many, many other reforms. It won't come as a surprise to you that the vast majority of Israelis have no faith that the PA Leopard will change its spots. But rather than wait for this miraculous transformation, your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region. Under your leadership, we can re-energize, well, I've got to contribute my own, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords. That's what it's called in the original Hebrew, Abraham. Abraham is fine, Abraham, however you want to call it. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords that we forged 5 years ago. We can expand them to many more Arab and Muslim nations that choose moderation over extremism. I think there's an opportunity here. It's not going to be easy, it's tough going, but I think if we succeed, you're absolutely right. We're going to open possibilities that nobody even dreamed of. But I think we dream of them. As you've told me, Mr. President, and you've told the world many, many times, you said, remember October 7th. Remember October 7th. And we do. We will never forget the horrors of October 7th, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they don't happen again. Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price, but those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it. It's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening. We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen, wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we could try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that'll be good for everyone. Above all the people, the fine team, the many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's tyranny in Gaza, and enable a more secure and prosperous future for the peoples of our region. Thank you, Mr. President. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless the indispensable alliance between our countries. And may I add, in Hebrew, G'mal Chatima Tova, may we all be inscribed in the book of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bibi. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions? Or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right, Aaron, we're back. What do you make of this, Aaron?
Brandon, two big takeaways for me. Big takeaways. Number one, to balance up the scales about who are these people in Gaza going to be, Bibi mentioned we will be in control of the security on our borders and there will be a perimeter. So that, to me, calms my nerves a little bit. I mean, I've got children and one day grandchildren. So I'd like to see how that's going to work itself out. But Bibi was strong on that. But here's where I'm very concerned. The Islamists, Brandon, you think they're going to sit by and listen and watch what you and I have been watching and saying, oh, we're going to have a time of peace? They don't want peace. I'm talking about the radicals. I'm not talking about the nations that are ready to sign the Abraham Peace Accords. I'm talking about the radicals. I'm talking about Hamas. I'm talking about even Qataris. I'm talking about the Iranians. And by the way, today I was reading that there could be an imminent attack because there is quite strong evidence that we didn't finish off with the B-2 bombs all of Iran's capabilities, and that they're rebuilding and rebuilding fast. So what about all these nations, Brandon? Are they going to sit back and just say, okay, we're going to watch all these, we're going to live happily ever after? No, I don't think it's going to happen. So like Bibi said, does a leopard change the color of its spots? Are Hamas going to bend and agree with what the Qataris are pushing them into? Or, like Pharaoh, is the Lord or are Hamas continuing to harden their hearts? This next 24, 48 hours is going to be really interesting. But having said all that, like Bibi said, this and Trump, this is unbelievably historic. This potentially, if Hamas agree to this, this potentially could usher in a massive time of peace. Of course, we know where it's heading, but still, at least we can breathe for a little bit and see. And you know what? The other thing I was thinking, Brandon, is, Donald Trump, he's got to get a Nobel Peace Prize for this. If this goes through, he's the number one candidate, no question.
Well, I think that's what he wants. I think he wants that so bad for his wall, for his presidential library. They've already announced will be in Miami. Yeah, I mean, your prime minister, though, he said this, quote, if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself, end quote.
Yeah, and he was Very strong the way he said that. And it's interesting, he put an emphasis on ourselves. He didn't say us, meaning America and us. He said, we'll take care of it. You know, Bibi sounded tired, but he also sounded very, there was a sense of, you know, almost like his mission could be coming to an end. And let's see what happens, Brannon, if there is a peace. Is he going to step down? Because remember, a lot of questions about October the 7th have not yet been answered. And Bibi said, we're going to answer that not now, when the war ends. And maybe he sees his days coming to an end. I don't know. But this is big. This is huge. Like the last 2 years, how many times have we said that? This is big. It's just nonstop. But these next 24, 48 hours, let's see what Hamas come back with.
What do you think the majority of your people in your country are thinking tonight with him agreeing to this 21-point plan, which includes, again, releasing a bunch of terrorists that murdered people and that have life sentences in your country, and you guys are going to release them? Do you think we're going to see them released? Do you think you're going to see all your hostages back? The ones that are alive?
Oh, Brannon, you know, you've got to take a list on one side and a list on the other side. The list on one side has, hey, we've got our captives coming back home. Wow.
How many alive?
There's going to be a lot. Maybe 10, maybe 20. I don't know, Brandon. But I can tell you this: when they come home, there's going to be a lot of tears shed, a lot of relief. That stage is not going to be totally over because there's still grieving, there's still pain from the families who've lost, but still, that's a kind of a chapter close. So some of the positives that are coming out of this, there's a list there that finally there looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel. No more terror. No more all those tens of thousands that haven't been able to go to their homes, Brannon, that are still living in hotels. Finally, they'll be able to go home and maybe go back to a normal lifestyle, like us tour guides and bus drivers and hotels. Maybe tourism will open up again. But
what about? I noticed that the derogatory term, the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. They're not mentioned in this.
That's right.
Where's that going to go?
That's right. That's what I was saying before.
How do we know Hamas doesn't just turn their attention to that? Well, we're not breaking any deal.
Exactly.
We're creating trouble in the West Bank, not Gaza.
That's right. That's right, Brennan. And we know that there are tunnels also under Judea and Samaria. We know that. We know that there's big terror cells. Now, one of the positive things during this war is our security have been able to crack a lot of those terror cells, beef up security in some of those areas, but there's still imminent dangers there. But, you know, if we can call back, Brannon, 60, 70,000 soldiers of ours from Gaza, that will free up other soldiers to do the fighting in Judea and Samaria. Brandon, I want to just remind the public that there's a lot of PTSD. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done from this. You know in America better than I the damage, not just the deaths of the peoples, but the psychological and mental and emotional scarring, not only on individuals, but on families, the breakdown of families, the divorce, and so on and so on and so on. We've still got to deal with all of these issues. It's massive. It's going to take a long time. This young generation that have been at war for these last 2 years, our longest war in this modern state of Israel, has been very taxing, going to take a lot to get over it, but with God's help and with a lot of prayer and a lot of love, and we know that there's a lot of people out there that love Israel and have supported us through this war, including yourself, Brandon, and your station. Unbelievable. It's like, you know, I've mentioned this before, it's like Aaron and Ur lifting up the arms of Moses just to give us that extra strength and support as we've needed it.
Well, we thank you for that. And here's the headline of the Daily Mail right now. Trump and Netanyahu announced peace plan. U.S. President hails one of the greatest days in civilization as he reveals 20-point roadmap to end Israel-Hamas war and for him to help run Gaza with Tony Blair. That last part makes me want to vomit. Tony Blair. I mean, a Fabian socialist, a globalist, Mr. One World Religion. Tony Blair has the Tony Blair Faith Initiative, which is a bunch of world religions come together as one. Let's not forget Rick Warren at one time, maybe still does, sat on the advisory board and praised it. So this guy, Tony Blair, is pushing for a one world religion. He's been working behind the scenes for years to broker peace. He's a Fabian. He's a globalist. He's pushing for the ID card. We have the clips of Tony Blair pushing for digital IDs. Can I tell the audience to write it down? You will see, and I bet you I'm the first person to say this. So for all the other folks who do their show prep, watching mine, here's your talking point. Pick it up and run with it. What you bet they turn Gaza into a 15-minute city run by digital ID and tracking, just like Tony Blair's been calling for and the World Economic Forum, and it becomes a model for the New World Order. Gaza turned into 15-minute city technology, technocracy. You write it down. That's what they're going to do. I truly believe that.
And part of that, Brandon, I believe, is if you go back to the Tower of Babel, they said, come and let us make a name for ourselves. And the sense of self-glorification, there's nothing about God. There's no glorification of God in this. It's self-promotion and globalism and all of what they stand for. But you know what? I'm standing here. I think it's really appropriate. Look right in front of me, Brandon, is a psalm in Hebrew. It's from Psalm Kuf Kaf Aleph, which is Psalm 121. Shir Malat, Esa enai el haharim, me'ayin yavo ezri me'et Hashem osei shamayim va'aretz, which means, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills. Not unto Tony Blair or Bibi Netanyahu or Donald Trump. From whence cometh my help? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And then it goes on to say, Al yiten lamut reglecha, al yanum shomrecha, hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He who keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. That's where our focus has to be on, especially as we go into potentially this new season of peace. Let's remember what Peter said as well. When peace and safety comes, then shall suddenly come destruction. We must not let our foot off the gas. We've got to be watchmen and keep our wicks trimmed. Keep oil in our lamps, because, you know, one of the things the Lord said about the last days is that many shall be deceived. May the Lord protect us from deception. And it's His word. It's His word that's going to keep us from deception.
Great way to wrap it up. Our reporter, Aaron Lavarco, on the ground, lighttothenationsministry.com. Brought to you by our foundation. Aaron, thank you so much, my friend, for this extended coverage today with this huge international and, dare I say, Bible prophecy setting event.
Thank you, Brennan, and thank you for the offering that you sent and the love that comes with it.
You bet.
Bless you. Thanks.
You bet. Thank you. Aaron Lavarco checking in, folks, live from Israel tonight. Again, brought to you by our foundation. We did send him a love offering today, folks, and you help make that possible through our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Please support our work so we can keep pushing out free programming, but also keep a representative there in Israel reporting back to you on breaking news, which is there's going to be a lot more to come. Now more than ever, folks, we need to have him there And we need to, support him because a workman is worthy of his hire. WorldviewFoundation.com. We're going to have more on this tonight on Brandon House Live. No doubt about it. We'll be bringing in several people, Dr. Rob Lindstedt, Dr. Woods, Annie Cyrus. We'll bring in many experts tonight on this and see what their thoughts are on this big, big day. News out of Washington related to the Middle East, Israel, the center of really the universe in so many ways, biblically speaking, that's for sure, and history-wise as well. So again, thank you for watching. We're going to now dip in to the broadcast already going with Colonel Rob Manitz. It's already in progress. I'm Brandon House. Thanks for watching. Take care.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews,
and that there's an oppressor and oppressee class, and that is all that matters, and that we must seek this social justice. We have to get the military leaders to either say, look, we're going to reject that and then get on board with conserving and defending America, or help them to find an exit. But what we can't do is come in and say, well, we have our players in head positions now, and we've changed some policies, and just expect that that will fix itself. This is going to be a long-term effort.
Yeah, and it's very difficult because when you look at concepts like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it seems on the surface to be, and Matt and the interviewer there touched on this a little bit. Matt touched on it. He DEI seems like it's a good step forward. To add to equal opportunity, equality of opportunity, treating people the same regardless of their race, and those kind of things. But in fact, it further encourages and creates division by going away from a merit-based hiring process, a merit-based performance rating process, a merit-based promotion process, and raising people up that aren't always the best qualified, just based on an immutable characteristic like skin color.
Yes, on its surface, it sounds good. Why wouldn't we want people who have diverse skill sets, diverse mindsets, diverse talents? Why wouldn't we want people to come from all walks of life and come together? Kind of the concept of e pluribus unum, out of many, one. And that's why they use that branding. DEI is a very deceptive branding. Look at what equity means. Equity means equality of outcomes. It means that no matter what you contribute, you have automatically earned success, regardless of whether you actually achieve success. And this is the play that they've made. This is a psychological shell game. When you look at the fact that it's actually rooted in an ideology that seeks to divide. Diversity. People automatically say, well, don't we want diversity? Isn't diversity good? It's one of those terms kind of like for the public good. Don't we want things for the public good? But what it does in actuality is, rather than saying, look, we are a diverse body as it is. We have men, we have women, we have all different ethnicities, we have all different life stories, all different backgrounds, all different talents, and we come together. That's what actual diversity is. But diversity within the DEI construct is about highlighting the differences and placing a chisel between people who have the same ideals and saying, well, now I don't know if I can trust you. And Matt Lomar actually even referred to that in his book. He tells a story about how one day one of his subordinates came in and said something to the effect of, you know what, I always believed that I was doing good, and I always believed that I could trust in the service. But once I got exposed to DEI, I began to realize that what I knew was wrong and that I am really oppressed. Well, what did that do to help the readiness of the unit? It did nothing. It divided. And that's what DEI does every single time. That's what it's designed to do, is to divide people from each other. And that's why it's absolutely so corrosive and such a threat in the military. When you look to your right and your left, you're supposed to trust that that person has you. It doesn't matter where they came from. It doesn't matter their skin tone. It doesn't matter their religious belief. They are a brother or sister in arms, and they have you and you have them. Diversity, equity, inclusion makes you question that. It makes you question if you can trust who you can trust. And it has sown such division in the ranks. And I mean, I could just talk the whole rest of the hour about the division it has sown and the fact that people are afraid to talk to each other. How do you build trust if you're afraid to talk to the person on the left or your right?
Well, how do you go to war? You know, I've talked to infantrymen from World War II a bit. And when I asked them what they were fighting for, to a man, they said I was fighting for my buddies. To a man. So how do you achieve a combat focus so you can be combat mission effective and win like what we're charged to do when you have soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, Coast Guardsmen that can't trust each other? I mean, I've had to put my life in other people's hands. I don't know how many times in that profession. You know what I mean? When you listen to folks like Laura Loomer, Matt, you, other folks that are talking about this today, and you think about it. I mean, Matt was just in his book. He was talking about the training in the uniform side, the military side, but one of the clips that you guys have uncovered was a Department of Defense education system employee, a civilian in charge of educating the children of military personnel and government personnel overseas. And they believe that it was the right thing to do for Charlie Kirk to be publicly executed. When you have that level of indoctrination and infiltration and foothold of this stuff into an organization as broad and deep as the Department of Defense, how do we get at that? And do we need a whole of government or a whole of society approaches the question in my mind when I listen to folks like you, Doc, because it's so deep. I mean, it's already not too deep. I think Laura's, when she said it, or she thinks we're too far gone. I think we're still able to get out of this, but we've got to have a very specific strategy connected to executable plans that look at our society as a whole through the different stovepipes, I guess, of the federal government, at least at the beginning, but all the way down to the local government level. This is really big and dangerous. And unfortunately, it looks like the military was the last institution to have a foothold established. Now, they haven't got us all, obviously, but they've got a lot. And we've got to take another break here. When we come back, we're going to see a clip from an Army captain. You're going to be shocked. I'll be right back with Dr. Chase.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed.
My name is Captain Dylan Blaha, and this message is for all U.S. military service members, especially every general and admiral meeting with Pete Hegseth on Tuesday. I'm a 13-year U.S. Army veteran who served in Afghanistan and wrote war plans while stationed at U.S. Army Europe. This morning, Donald Trump directed Pete Hegseth to deploy the U.S. military to Portland, Oregon. This is the latest illegal attempt to normalize the use of the military in U.S. cities. He authorized the military to use, quote, full force. This is authoritarianism. This is fascism. The U.S. military is not a law enforcement force, and all federalized service members must abide by the Posse Comitatus Act. All members of the United States military must disobey illegal orders. I was just following orders is not a valid defense against war crimes. Grow a spine and stand up for your fellow Americans. Otherwise, you are complicit in this fascist takeover. We're running out of time.
Welcome back to More War Monday here on the Rob Maness Show, and we're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. And I think my live audience is speechless. Usually they have a question or two the first half hour. My guest today is retired U.S. Army officer Dr. Chase Spears, who did public affairs work. I mean, he's an expert in messaging and communicating what the messaging needed to be to the troops, especially, and to society, when the armed forces and the commands that he was representing needed to get their message out. That's what Chase's job was. Chase, this young guy, he says he's a captain. I'll just caveat it. There's some reporting out there that he's no longer in the Army. But you know, one of the things I found interesting about that clip is he weaves correct ideas in with the wrong ideas to make it seem like what he's talking about is what they were trying to do during the COVID order unlawful mandate, which is push back against it. But everybody I've ever talked to, and I've interviewed many, as you know, that said the COVID order was unlawful and acted on it, did it within what the rules they were given to be able to do it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
This is not that, is it?
It is not. It is not. And I will give the captain or former captain. I don't know which one it is. I haven't researched him enough yet to know. But I'll give him some credit for being clever. He weaves narratives, some of which on a matter of principle, I find some agreement with. I also do not want it to be normalized that we have military units that are required to safeguard American streets, because I would like to think that local law enforcement would do their job, and that local magistrates, local county attorneys, chiefs of police, governors, city and county council members would take this seriously. But when you have lower level magistrates who refuse to step in and conduct their governmental role, someone else has to step in to provide security. And it is absolutely constitutional and within the lawful rights of the president to activate members of the National Guard to assist law enforcement. This has been done so many times. People like this captain would have you believe that this is unprecedented. It's never happened before. We've never, ever, 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 ever in American history seen National Guard members activated to help serve the people of their own state or of neighboring states. And if that's the case, then I think Ray Nagin might have something to say about the use of the Guard and even federal troops to help New Orleans after Katrina. And there's so many other examples. So, I mean, he is clever in some of the narratives that he uses, but he is misusing them. He is misappropriating them. They love to use that term fascist when they have no idea of what it actually means, and they haven't looked at any of the historical data behind what that was. The bottom line is this is what happens when you have local governments who refuse to do their jobs. Well, a higher level magistrate has to step in and do that job. But even more trouble.